Hi, I'm Joss Very, Professionals Real Estate. I'd like to introduce you to Jonathan Watts. He's a mortgage broker. In my business, you need a lot of good people around you, and Jonathan is my go-to broker because I trust him. Now, Jonathan, I'd like to ask you a question about why someone would come to you over a bank.
Good question, Joss, and it comes down to two things, simplicity and knowledge.
Okay.
So if you're going to apply for a loan at a bank, the banks generally want all the same information, and you have to fill out their form, provide them with the information you've got. And then if you want to do that with another bank, you've got to do the same thing again and fill out another form, similar information, same documents, and it just takes up time, a lot of time. And you may well be dealing with somebody who's never bought a house.
Excellent.
So when you come to us, you fill out a form once, or we actually fill the form out. We ask the questions, you give us the information, you fill it out once with us. So that's the simplicity part. The knowledge part comes down to, we see all the deals coming through from the banks all the time.
Yeah.
So we know what rate we should be able to get you, we know how much cash we should be able to get you, we know how to shape the deal. And so that knowledge comes from experience. We're dealing with a lot of mortgages, a lot of people, a lot of different situations, and a bank is probably just not going to service you in the same way.
Yeah, excellent. And what I like about using someone with your expertise, Jonathan, is that you can package up the numbers and actually present them to the bank where they're going to say yes, where if an individual does it, the bank can see that it's all too hard, or that you haven't put in something that may have been valuable to get that mortgage across the line.
And that's the thing, we tell our clients, you need to treat us like a priest. Tell us everything, because if we know what we're dealing with, then we know how to shape it. And it comes down to things like structure as well. When it comes to actually structuring the loan to give you the best repayment period that you can get, or the easiest way to reduce your interest you're paying, all those things, we work with that with you.
Thank you. So Jonathan, could you give me an example of how much money I could borrow for a property? You could use me as an example.
Okay. That's a key question. Everybody wants to know, what can I borrow? Borrowing comes down to two key things. One is, how much deposit have you got to actually put into the property? Number two is, and the key part is, how much do you earn? How much can you actually put into this in terms of repayments? Now, the banks always have formulas that they're looking at. They'll always assess you at a much, much higher interest rate than you'll end up paying, because they want to make sure that you can afford this, that they know that life happens, teeth break, cars need repair, interest rates eventually go up. And if they lent you everything you could afford at the best possible interest rate, then, and if anything changes in your life, you're in deep trouble. So it's all down to really what income you've got to how much debt you can service.
Right. So it's sort of a ratio thing, and you work out the numbers on a ratio.
We do, and we look at your expenses too.
Okay.
And we explain your expenses, or we help you to reduce those expenses, because that's a key part of it. Things like credit cards. People might think it's great, I've got a $30,000 credit limit on my credit card, but that actually counts against you when you're coming to borrow money with a bank, because it's about debt.
And they see that as a cost.
Absolutely.
So Jonathan, another question which I'm sure you're always asked is, how do I get the money?
For a deposit.
Yeah.
Yeah, deposit's key, Joss. The deposits in New Zealand are controlled really by the Reserve Bank. So I call it 20% is the magic deposit number. And at 20%, we can get you the best rates, we can get you the most cash, and things just flow a lot more simply if you're buying at 20%. You can buy with less than 20%. You can buy with 15%, 10%. And even some of the banks, very few, under very strict circumstances, will even allow you to get away with a 5% deposit.
Wow.
That was quite common a number of years ago. It's far more restricted now. If you're an investor, you need 30% deposit. If you're buying a brand new house though as an investor, you can get away with 20% deposit. So deposits these days are just not, as they used to be, savings. They've now pulled together across a range of things, and KiwiSaver is a really big part of it.
Yes.
So a lot of first home buyers are grabbing KiwiSaver. There's savings in there as well. Banks would like to see that you've tried to save some money. There's often family money going in now, and as gifting or grandma's money. People are selling assets too, just to get a deposit together. So it's coming from different places.
Okay, thanks Jonathan. So, Jonathan, your last question that I get asked a lot, and that's why I refer you, of course, is if I want to build a second dwelling on a property, how do I get the finance, please?
A lot of people who are trying to do that have good equity in their current house, and that's really where the money's got to come from. So, for example, your house may be worth $1 million, typical Auckland value these days, and your mortgage is now at $400,000. You have equity in that house to be able to borrow some more money, put towards the minor dwelling. The minor dwelling is worth a reasonable amount of money by the time it's finished, and that helps contribute towards the total value of both properties. So we will go to the bank and we will show them what the value of the property is. There's several steps to go through, such as having to get plans drawn up. The banks want to see what the plans are, what the cost is. We need to get a registered valuation so we know what the as-is value of the property is and what it will be when it's finished with both properties there. But those are things we take to the bank, and generally they're very happy to lend if the numbers work and there's a good result at the end.
So, can older people do this? Because often older people are asset rich and cash poor.
Yeah. To be fair, it does get more challenging as you get older. So the bank is looking at your working life, what you can afford to pay off in the time before you finish work. 70 to 75 years is not unusual for a working life now, and the banks will accept that. But what they don't want to see, and what's come in over the last few years through what's called the Responsible Lending Code, is that they don't want to see people carrying big debt into their later years of their lives when they really should be paid down and enjoying themselves and not stressing about where to find that money each month.
Excellent. So people, you really do need to contact Jonathan at Simply Finance. The details are in the bottom of this video clip. Thanks for watching the video. I know you've learnt something, but really the best thing to do is to get Jonathan around the kitchen table and have a jolly good chat to him.